My fellow Americans, I hear so much these days from people about how weak they are. The story is the government doesn't work for anybody, it's against us all. And I can't change it, I'm too weak. Okay? Um, Rich get richer, poor get poor. That sounds like a weak statement. I thought we had democracy to give people power. How is having democracy that we all vote on keeping people powerless? I think there's really a delusion of democracy going on. I think that we're fed this delusion so we don't outright riot, basically. And what I want for Americans is to realize their power and quit speaking in terms of weakness. I'll show you what strength looks like. Here's what strength is. Strength is the ability to clear your mind of hatred. Because no one's strong when hatred is dominating the mind. So, a clearing of hatred from the mind. Now, the American is open to working with other Americans to no longer sound weak. We can't do anything. Our government sucks. It's all garbage. Well, then redo the system. Are you so weak you can't rebuild your own system? I find it funny that in all the superpowers, we hear the same thing from all the slaves. I'm too weak to overthrow my government because they'll throw me in jail. Dude, we're the majority. We outnumber them. Imagine if all of the millions of poor and working class Americans stormed the government, stormed capitalist dictatorships, the businesses. They're in the minority. They can fight all they want, but even if they were to eradicate us all, they'd have no one to work for them or to govern. They'd be out of a job. Their money'd mean nothing. We are in the majority. Those in the majority are always in power. There's three groups in every society. There's a government, there's the corporations, and there's the people. When there's a balance between them all, there's growth like we had from the end of the Second World War until Reagan. A middle class developed because everything was working equally in partnership. The reason that was forced on Americans, which I don't know why in the hell it'd be forced on anybody, the reason it was forced on Americans is because I just got out of a depression. Depression in World War II. That took some very strong leadership to say, we're going to make things equal for everyone. That's the only way to get out of this. Now, at the time, what I understand is that Republicans were very, very respectable. They were all about rule of law, personal responsibility, and small government. Adequate sized government is what I like to call it, not small size. You don't want too few of cops or too few of teachers or firefighters. You need adequate amounts for your size. I don't know where the hatred came in or the racism came in, but dude, if you're really a business person, which Republicans I always have heard are supposed to be, then you realize the importance of investment. You invest in working class people and they will return a profit, just like happened from 1945 to 1990 as we had a middle class in this country. So I'm sick and tired of listening to how weak Americans are. I thought Americans consider themselves strong, but I never hear that. I never hear how we're going to make things better. And hear how, listen now to my strength, and I'll tell you all how things will be better. So first off, Republicans, get rid of those that hate in your party. Get rid of the racists. Bottom line is, violence is not rule of law, and it will not be tolerated from anyone. There is one time, unfortunately, where violence is necessary. And that's when both the working poor of Republicans and Democrats who are in the same boat band together and work together. And you know the government and the corporations fight against that tooth and nail. Mussolini said that a fascist country is one where the government and the corporations gang up against the working class. And that's exactly what we have now. And why we run around hating each other, hating the system, and nobody's strong enough to fix it. Well, I am strong enough to say these things and to tell you how to be strong. And it's very simple. We say we have democracy, but that's just like an elixir along with religion to make us keep on with the status quo of evil. The first thing we do is restore democracy in the workplace. That would restore a sense of power to all Americans. So we can have worker co-ops where everyone is equal in the business. Those businesses are far more efficient and produce far more because there is no hatred and animosity in the organization. There's no slave master mentality that makes me go off and have a break whenever my boss is a jerk. It doesn't happen in democratic businesses or worker co-ops where everyone is equal. That's the number one place we start. You know who's going to fight against that is the corporations and the government. But you know what? Strong people don't care. Strong people will create the worker co-ops that they want. And if the government and the corporations don't want to play, we just create our own society. We are the mass of people. They can band together and annihilate us all. But A, we'll be out of the misery of the life they create for us. And B, they'll have no one to do the work. No slaves. Imagine a master with no slaves. Master's got to go out and earn his own living for once. Wow. Isn't that an American value? Everyone work hard for what they got. Then why do the rich get tax breaks and all the money thrown to them for no work whatsoever? That's not a value that's shared amongst the rest of us, hardworking people. So I'm going to say to my fellow Americans, it is now time to be strong, to speak differently, and have speech that is indicative of that strength. And the strength comes from knowing that we are in the majority and the power is always with the people because we are in the majority. There are far more of us, no matter that they have tanks and bullets and guns and nukes to kill us all. Okay, we revolt. We take the money that we need to survive and get the people off the tents, off the sidewalks. Of course, they're going to resist and use all the military force they can. We're not supposed to resort to that in a democracy, but again, that's the illusion because it's not actually in the workplace. If you actually had democracy, it would work for you in your political system and you wouldn't bitch about your political system and all the representatives you have that are not doing anything in your interest. That would be fixed if you were strong. And democracy would be in the workplace where no evil behavior could be allowed in both the government or the workplace. Now, those are the values of working class people, and they need to be in those institutions, not just in the hands of the poor that are dying on the street. At one time, after the World War and Depression, we had a 100% tax rate. That means the richest of the rich paid over a certain amount, let's say $1 million. Anything over $1 million, they paid 100% tax. Today, the Republicans have whittled it down to 21 and going lower. So we can easily rebuild a middle class today. But it's going to have to be on the strength of working class Americans unionizing, demanding through democracy that we all believe in but don't really have. And if the democracy fails to provide these things that working class people need, then they have, according to their own constitution, the right to go and overthrow the government and the corporations. It may be hell of a fight because they got bigger armies and they have all the money. But again, if they win destroying us, they have no one to be their slaves, and we still win. So we transform the society into what we want, we win, or we let the devil kill us, revolting, and we still win. This is the power that working people have, especially when we stop fighting each other, because they're telling us things to fight over so we won't go attack them and take what we need for ourselves. They know we can do it. They know we have the power, so they divide us. It's a very simple strategy called divide and conquer. Now, a strong human being understands this and doesn't allow it to affect them and will not be divided from his own working class people, regardless of what race they are. Today, the only color that matters is green, as in money. So those that don't have money need to unify and take from those that do. If they don't want to pay adequately like they should or do the right thing, we take it. We'll ask politely through a democracy, will you give us the money we need to survive? Will you make the investment in us to have a better country? And if they refuse, we take it. Consider themselves lucky that we didn't just go take it first without asking at all through a democracy. So we can have a 100% tax rate. We can have a $30 minimum wage. We could have laws that say that if jobs are sent to other countries, the taxation on those jobs will not make them beneficial to the masters of the slaves. And then they'll be forced to hire Americans again, and we can have a middle class and not have people living in tents on the street. I'm disgusted with the people that have money and how weak they are as human beings. To be able to watch others suffer and laugh and go about your business when you have the ability to assist? These people that have money in the United States don't deserve it, and yet we all suffer to allow them to have it. I say the time is now for us to decide to not suffer anymore. Black, white, I don't care where you come from or what your skin looks like. If your children aren't eating, we band together no matter who you are, and we go feed our children through the power of our unity. This is strength, my American brothers and sisters. I've expected it from you my entire life, and I've heard something else. Today, I call on the strength of Americans to make a change in this country at the root level. The two political groups are only there so that the master can pit us against one another and then the master wins, as what's happening right now. But the slaves need not fight one another, because when they're done fighting one another, the slaves have nothing. There's no slaves, and the master just goes and finds new slaves. But if the slaves band together and uprise against the master, at the end of it, there's a chance the slaves will own something finally. So no longer do we abuse the Republican or the Democrat because they're irrelevant. They're simply just messengers from a higher power of infinite money. Infinite money that's available, that the working class provided so they can try to stabilize their broken, evil slave master markets. Or throw all the money in the world at army because they want to defend that dollar. But boy, ask them to spend $1 to keep a baby alive, and there's no such thing. That's the power that controls both the Democrats and the Republicans. Don't be stupid. Be strong. Resist both the parties and go to the ones that control those two parties and take what is yours. This is called strength, my fellow Americans. Anything else is weakness. And it's time to stop being weak. We are known for revolution, we are known for ingenuity, and we are known for democracy. It is time to get back to our roots. Democrats and Republicans put away any racial animosities, work together to take money from the ones that have it. This happened before, after the war, and after the Depression, and it got us a burgeoning middle class that was the envy of the world and that is now being flushed down the toilet for no reason. Be strong. Make sure jobs are kept here in America. Make sure the minimum wage is raised. Make sure the top tax rate is 100%. We can rebuild our schools and be the leaders of technology, which we're now allowing China to far surpass us in doing. This does not provide for a future of America because Chinese and their friends will take that technology that we don't have and dominate us physically, militarily, economically. So if you think you're a slave now, if you keep thinking this way, you are definitely going to be a slave even more, but to China instead. So every American now, quit talking and whining about how horrible things are and there's nothing we can do. Because that's simply what the master tells the slave so the master can still be the master. But it's not true. So stand with me in the strength of being an American. Use democracy to make the system exactly what you want it to be. Democracy in the workplace, cooperative workplaces, and no ability to overthrow the government for dictatorship. We need to preserve our democracy, which means we need to spread it into more places like the workplace. Honestly, you don't have a democracy if you step out of your house and the jobs have all been shipped away. Was there a vote there? When my job gets shipped to China or India, did I get to vote there? Was there democracy there? No, I was dictated to. So there needs to be true democracy, both outside the workplace and within. When we then dedicate ourselves completely to democracy, all voices will be heard and respected, and that is strength. This will force investment by those who have all of the money into those who do not. And there will be great profit when that investment is made. I'm tired of the party that claims to be all about business, not understanding what investment in human beings is. So, because of the hatred and animosity, you see there are inefficiencies. Money is not spent where it needs to be spent. And we have the power to change it. We need to unionize. We need to raise minimum wage, top tax rate, 100%, national health care. When those investments are made in the working class, we will have more than enough money to house the homeless. And there won't be any more. We now have an opportunity to show the rest of the world what it is to be a good partner in the world community and to be strong Americans for once. This is Tommy Hawk. Stand with me and be strong, my fellow Americans. The power is within your hands. God bless.